Thanks for joining us on 24 Plus for the news at midday. I'm Kevin McNamara, joined right off the top by Chief Meteorologist Trevor Burchett. Trevor, we've had these pesky storms the last couple days. Are they going to stick around?
We're getting a little break for right now.
I'll take that.
Yeah, of course, just in time for a holiday weekend, we do have more storm chances. For now, though, we've been enjoying some pretty nice weather, at least for yesterday and today. Beautiful sunshine right now as we take a look outside, see what is going on. Hardly a cloud in the sky as we look over Midtown and downtown. A beautiful start to our day out there. Not a bad day at all. We did have some sprinkles late last night, but those have cleared on out of here. Here's a look at what you need to know for the next several days. There is actually another chance of a couple of sprinkles late tonight. I don't expect much in the way of rain, but a sprinkle or two possible. But yes, unfortunately, just in time for the Memorial Day holiday weekend, we are tracking the chance of some more thunderstorms, and that will likely have an impact on your plans. Let's start out with the weather almanac. High today expected to be around 80. That is a little bit below normal. And with the low humidity, it's actually going to feel pretty nice out there. Low temperature was 64 this morning. That's right on the money for normal. Record high on this date, 96. Record low, 41. And so far since midnight, no rain in the bucket at Memphis International. 79 is our current temperature as of just after 1 o'clock. 84 in Clarksdale, a little warmer down there. They've had sunshine for more of the day. 76 there in Dyersburg, 77 right now in Corinth. We are going to enjoy sunshine for the next few hours. Nice and warm this afternoon. High temperature near 80, but it will be comfortable again thanks to that lower humidity and a nice northerly breeze. Now, by this afternoon and later this evening especially, there is a chance of a couple of sprinkles, maybe some light showers. We'll talk about that here in just a second. For most of the day, though, we're going to be looking mostly sunny to partly cloudy. 80 degrees, your high temperature in Blytheville. 79 in Marktree. 80 degrees in Wynn. 81 in Forest City. 82 for Mariana. Mostly sunny down in North Mississippi as well. We're looking at 83 today in Oxford. 82 in Corinth and in Ripley. 80 in Selmer and Bolivar. 80 in Brownsville as well. We'll stay in the mid and upper 70s along the Highway 51 corridor from Millington all the way up to Dyersburg. Again, we're dry now, not anything on the radar, but watch what happens by this evening. There is going to be some leftover showers from a thunderstorm complex in southern Missouri. That could try to sneak into the mid-south. This is not a surefire bet, but by 7 o'clock, there could be a few showers. So just as you're starting to get home, starting to make dinner, maybe letting the kids out to play in the backyard a little bit, there could be a little bit of light rain. I don't expect it everywhere, but a shower or two not out of the question this evening. And then a couple of sprinkles in the overnight hours as well. But by the time we get to tomorrow morning, things will be looking much nicer. We're back to the sunshine and cooler weather as we start off our Friday. So again, for tonight, a shower can't completely be ruled out. I know some of us did have some thunderstorms last night. I don't expect that tonight, but a shower or two possible. And a little on the cool side, all the way down to 60 degrees for our overnight low tonight. We are tracking that next weather impact, and it's going to be the storm chances as we look ahead to this weekend. So we have pretty nice weather for today and Friday, but this weekend things will be changing. Looking at a chance of some storms Saturday morning. I know we've got a big race downtown Saturday morning that will likely be impacted by some heavy rain and thunderstorms. By Saturday afternoon, maybe clearing out a little bit more. We're looking more dry for the second half of Saturday and Saturday night. But there looks to be another round of some thunderstorms for Sunday and Monday. That is Memorial Day. And some of those will likely be on the heavy side. Here's what we're looking at. High pressure sets up in the Plain States. That is going to be our good weather maker, but unfortunately it's not over us. It's back over Texas, and that's kind of putting us on the outer edge of that high pressure. That puts us in what's called northwesterly flow up in the upper levels of the atmosphere. That makes the winds go from far northwest down to the southeast, and that almost acts like a conveyor belt for thunderstorms. So what that can do is actually pick up thunderstorms from the northern Plain States and kind of shove them right into Memphis. And that's what's going to happen here for the next couple of days. Friday looks nice, but as we look ahead to Saturday morning, you see those storms kind of riding along that conveyor belt. This is 6 a.m. Saturday, just in time for that race to kick off. We do expect showers and thunderstorms through the Mid-South, and they'll be continuing through, again, at least the first half of Saturday. I think for Saturday, the bigger issue is going to be in the morning and the early afternoon. By 2 p.m. Saturday, we'll probably start to be in better shape. And then the second half of Saturday and Saturday evening will be looking more dry. But then we'll do it again Sunday. Might start off dry Sunday morning, but those storms are already loading up on that conveyor belt by Sunday evening and Sunday night. And those will kind of ride along that conveyor right into Memphis and the Mid-South for Sunday afternoon. So let's look at that Memorial Day weekend forecast. Again, for Saturday, the chances there for some morning thunderstorms, high temperatures in the 70s. Those will clear out by Saturday afternoon and evening. That might be our driest period of the weekend, honestly. So if you're looking to do the barbecue, the cookout, any other summer-like plans, Saturday evening will probably be the time to do it. That's when we might catch a little bit of a break from the storm activity. Rain and storms return for Sunday, high of 81, and then more rain and storms for Monday with a high near 79. So it's not going to storm the entire weekend, but there will be several rounds of thunderstorms that could impact those plans. And that includes if you're going to be out on the water this weekend. Look at this forecast, looking at some of the area lakes from Enid over to Pickwick down to Sardis and out west to Greer's Ferry in Arkansas. Thunderstorms likely for most of this weekend, off and on at least. So you might be able to catch some dry time if you're going to be at the pool or the lake or the barbecue. But keep in the back of your mind that storms could pop up at any minute. If that's something to really keep in mind here as we look ahead to the summer months and this chance of summer thunderstorms, you have to keep in mind that they can develop fast. We can go from sunshine to storms in just a matter of seconds. So you need to make sure you have somebody that's watching the radar, keeping tabs on the forecast, keeping tabs on those weather alerts, and knowing where to shelter. If a storm starts to pop up, make sure you have a plan. If you're going to be outside in the backyard, make sure you know when to get inside. If you're going to be at the lake, give yourself plenty of time to get off the lake, get off of that boat, and get inside. And of course, if you do hear thunder, you are close enough to be struck by lightning. So that's when you really need to ramp it up. Even if it's sunny, if that thunder is starting in the distance, you need to go ahead and head inside. Of course, the ABC24 app for your phone is a great tool as you're out and about this busy holiday weekend to stay ahead of the thunderstorms. We have the radar there, the hour-by-hour forecast, also live streaming weather coverage 24/7. So if you search ABC24 in your app store or Google Play, you can download that app for free. We'll send you an alert if a rough storm is headed in your direction. So again, the rest of today we'll get to 80 under a mostly sunny sky. Couple of thunderstorms possible as we look ahead to Thursday evening and Thursday night later on this evening. I don't expect thunderstorms necessarily, but a couple of showers possible. 77 degrees, partly cloudy for your Friday. We are looking mostly sunny then. And then as we look ahead to both Saturday and Sunday, that's when we've got those chances for some thunderstorms. Again, for Saturday morning, it's looking more like it's going to be the morning round of thunderstorms. And then Saturday afternoon and evening, we'll start to clear things out. So if you do have plans this weekend, the second half of Saturday is the time to do it. 81 Sunday with more off and on thunderstorms. Again, it won't rain the whole day Sunday, but there's going to be several rounds of storms. And same story for Memorial Day, off and on thunderstorms expected through the day. High temperature around 79, and then we will start to clear out a little bit, get into a slightly better weather pattern for the middle of next week. There's a chance of some showers for Tuesday. High temperature near 75, but once that clears out Tuesday morning, we should be in much better shape. 76 and partly cloudy for Wednesday, and it looks like we will be in a nicer pattern for the end of the week. So I know we kind of have this bump in the road with Memorial Day weekend for that chance of showers and a couple of thunderstorms, but again, by the middle of next week, things will start to look better. Again, you can download that ABC24 app. It is a totally free download for iPhone and Android. We'll keep you updated with the latest on the updated weather conditions and, of course, as those storms start to develop this weekend. Kevin.
All right, thank you for that, Trevor. Meanwhile, developing news. This midday, investigators have determined the fire that destroyed Claiborne Temple was intentionally set. Memphis fire officials have ruled the fire was arson, and they need your help finding the person responsible. Today at 1:30, coming up just in a few minutes, Temple leadership will be hosting a virtual press conference on these new developments, and we will be giving you a live look into that press conference as soon as it gets going. Meanwhile, city leaders have said they're stepping up the fight against violent crime here in Memphis. A new police operation called Rolling Thunder is behind dozens of arrests. Police said in just over 2 weeks, they arrested 160 people, all tied to violent crimes. 50 of them confirmed gang members, with 10 people now facing federal charges. Officers recovered 15 illegal guns, including some that were modified to shoot like automatic weapons.
These faces are the drivers of violence in our city. So far, 10 people have been indicted on federal charges as a result of this operation, including including 6 gang members, and we don't plan on stopping here. This is just the beginning.
Police said the operation is focused on repeat offenders and not just certain neighborhoods. Some of the people arrested have more than 50 previous charges. But the news right now, Serenity Towers is officially shutting down. A judge ordered everyone to move out by today. Attorneys shared the timeline during a court hearing last week. 44 tenants moved out last week. You may remember the city took over the building back in December after there were reports of broken elevators, bed bugs, and other unsafe conditions. The Memphis Housing Authority now helping with the relocation process, but another court hearing is scheduled for May 29th. A new proposal making its way through City Council could bring welcome relief to downtown Memphis, but concerns about cost could see the measure stalled before it makes it to a vote. Memphis City Councilman Dr. Jeff Warren exploring the possibility of bringing public bathrooms to Beale Street. During Tuesday's Budget Committee meeting, he brought his concern to the Downtown Memphis Commission. But one City Council member is drawing attention to what they believe the bigger issue is, addressing the homeless population around downtown.
Certainly public restrooms are part of that, but a bigger part of that is making sure that we have housing for them, affordable, quality housing, that we have mental health services and other things like that so that they can not be on our streets to start with.
City Councilmember Jerry Green wants to see how much Dr. Warren's proposal will cost and if they can fit it in their budgets. Right now, we're going to take you to that presser on the new development regarding the Claiborne Temple fire, with authorities saying that they have found a arson suspect. Now, we are still waiting for that to begin at any moment, and we will bring it to you when it does come up. It's going to be coming up in just a few minutes, but until then, we'll just be standing by in a couple minutes. So right now, we're going to go to some national news right before, again, we have that press conference live on the arson suspect at Claiborne Temple. So first of all, we are going to be talking about another issue that is going on nationally. We're talking about an issue that is occurring in the deadly shooting outside a Jewish museum in Washington, D.C. The 2 people killed worked at the Israeli embassy, and overnight, a suspect was taken into custody. The U.S. Attorney General among the authorities responding to the scene. Israel's president calling the attack a despicable act of hatred. ABC's Nicole D'Antonio has the latest.
An FBI official says early indications are this was a targeted attack. A man taken into custody after the shooting was heard yelling, "Free Palestine." Overnight, police in Washington, D.C. investigating the deadly shooting of 2 Israeli embassy staff members. Authorities say the man and woman were shot at close range as they were leaving the Capitol Jewish Museum.
Prior to the shooting, the suspect was observed pacing back and forth outside of the museum. He approached a group of 4 people, produced a handgun, and opened fire, striking both of our decedents. After the shooting, the suspect then entered the museum and was detained by event security.
After the shooting, a man in custody inside the museum was heard chanting support of Palestinians.
Free, free Palestine!
He implied that he committed the offense. The suspect chanted, "Free, free Palestine," while in custody.
The shooting suspect, identified as 30-year-old Elias Rodriguez of Chicago. Police say they had no prior interactions with him. The American Jewish Committee was hosting an event at the museum celebrating Jewish heritage at the time of the shooting. Israel's ambassador to the UN calling it, quote, "a depraved act of anti-Semitic terrorism," saying the young embassy staffers killed were a couple who were planning to get married.
The young man purchased a ring this week with the intention of proposing to his girlfriend next week in Jerusalem.
As for the security questions being raised after the shooting, that museum just last week awarded a $500,000 grant to increase security. Nicole D'Antonio, ABC News, Washington.
is the 35th annual Rochelle Stevens Invitational Track Meet, but we'll have more on that in just a few minutes because right now we're going to take you live to that press conference with city authorities on the arson at Claiborne Temple. Again, they have a suspect in mind and they need your help. We'll take you to that presser right now.
Eggs, Director of the National Trust for Historic Preservation's African American Culture Heritage Action Fund, will all be joining us to speak to us and our Memphis family. We will have a press conference at 4:30, followed by the moment of remembrance and time to connect, reimagine, and rejoice with each other. Please join us at 4:30 on the 28th. We ask that you bring your flowers and your love notes to leave for Claiborne and for our beloved city of Memphis. To support the reimagination of Claiborne Temple, please visit us at claiborne.org. I'm happy to take questions now if anybody has any.
Anissa, this is Bill Drees at the Daily Memphian.
Hi, Bill. How are you?
Just fine, just fine. What can you tell us about the two other fires?
Well, there's not much to say because we have not gotten reports back from investigations. But the first fire was at my home and the other was at the land adjacent to land that my family owns in East Tennessee. Other than that, I don't have a lot of details.
All right. And from the surveillance camera photos that were distributed yesterday,
Yes.
any recognition of that person? Was that someone who you might have come into contact with?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Thank you for being here.
All right, didn't quite get too much information in that presser. I'm joined now by Van Turner, of course, former Shelby County Commissioner, former president of the Memphis NAACP. Van, thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Obviously, this is a deeply emotional issue talking about this fire at Claiborne Temple. And given the temple's deep significance in the fight for civil rights, how has the community reacted to the news that it's being investigated as arson?
Well, I think it's been devastating. Obviously, you don't want to see this. You don't want to see or hear about someone intentionally burning down such a sacred monument in our community, and I think, in fact, the nation. So now that we have a suspect and we know that it's arson, we want the person brought to the authorities so that he has to stand for the crime for which he's committed. And then after that, we need to rebuild Claiborne Temple. I mean, obviously, it holds such a valuable part here in Memphis as it relates to the civil rights movement. The I Am a Man march, which started from there, is iconic. And so we have to restore it back to all of its beauty and restore it back to all of its prestige, because this is just a sacred cow here in Memphis, and it's a sacred cow when you talk about the civil rights movement.
Yeah, do you think that this incident kind of speaks to a larger pattern at this moment in time in our national politics?
Yeah, I think so. You're tearing down the bedrock principles of this country. The Constitution is being attacked. The courts are being attacked. No one knows what's right or wrong anymore because all of that is just in such upheaval. And so I believe that this is a test of our democracy. It's a test of what we continue to hold sacred here in this community and in this nation. And I am a firm believer in the principles of America. As a lawyer, I defend and protect the Constitution as an officer of the court. And I feel that the American government and democracy and what's right in this country will prevail. And what's right here is that we restore Claiborne Temple and we use this as a monument to what struggle and what overcoming that struggle stands for here in this community and abroad. So I'm hopeful that this is an important lesson and that we will learn and grow from what has occurred, and that we will continue to, again, push forward and uphold the true values of this nation.
Yeah, are there any steps that you'd like to see city leaders, organizations here in Memphis kind of not just restore it, but seek justice and try and protect other important landmarks?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously this will have to be, I think, a public-private partnership, and I think that this would be. And we have to do more to preserve the story of civil rights here in this community, because if we forget about it and if we don't honor it, we can see what could or will happen. And so We have to make sure that we're passing this history down to our young people. Obviously, there's been an assault on books and learning and lesson plans in our schools. So we have to use Claiborne Temple and the National Civil Rights Museum and all these other monuments to teach our young people. This is where we've come from, and we don't want to return back to it. So let's learn from it, let's grow from it, and let's make sure that we as a nation continue to use these important lessons over the years to come together, not go apart, and not drive the wedge further that will keep us apart, but to come together as a nation. And I think that's why it's important to honor treasures such as the Claiborne Temple and others. And I'm hopeful that this is the lesson that we'll all learn.
Yeah, well, I certainly hope so. Thank you for that, Van. I understand we have more from this press conference right now that we can go to with more being learned about that situation.
We haven't gotten anywhere in particular, but the city, Paul Young, our mayor, was out there very early on Monday morning. He's been very supportive. His team has been very supportive. They're one of our most important partners. So we'll get there at some point, but it hasn't even been a month. So we got to all have time to figure some stuff out.
Thank you.
Of course.
Is there any indication just over the last almost month now on how much it would cost to rebuild blueprint-wise from the original blueprints? Excuse me.
No, we don't know, and the truth is, Scott, that we have to start again. We cannot use the original prints because we don't have the same thing to work with. So we're working with our team to figure out what our options are, and we will let you know as soon as we know.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
Hi there, this is Mandy with Fox 13.
Hi, Mandy. How are you?
Hi, I'm doing well, thank you.
Great. I'm happy to
Just
hear it.
quick question. Wondering, is there any speculation on why someone would want to do this, and just what would your message be to the person responsible?
No, it's just not a good idea for me to speculate. Again, the fact that anyone would do this for any reason is senseless and tragic. I am one of those people who really believes in love and forgiveness and connection and honesty and transparency. So my, we'll see, like, I don't know. I don't know why someone would do this. I can't imagine. Our goal at Claiborne and the Big We is to bring people together. Like, we believe in the future of our city. We believe in the people of our city. We believe in the storytellers of our city and the stories that we are holding together. And that's what we're focused on. We're focused on how to keep going and how to bring people back into the flow of our work and our vision and figure out how we can heal.
Thank you so much for that. And also, my coworker Alexis wanted to ask you a quick question.
Of course.
Hi.
Welcome, Alexis. Thank you.
I know you mentioned earlier about your timeline as it relates to your property being targeted and the excuse me, the property being targeted and your own personal property as well as the Claiborne. Was your property and the other property in East Tennessee, was that the same date or was that a different date?
No, well, first I want to just clear up. I don't think it's fair yet to use the language of targeting with the my home and the other land because there's been no indication that either one of those fires were arson, right? Like I said, this could be all a crazy coincidence. But the house was the 12th and the land was the 14th and Claiborne was the 28th.
Okay, thank you so much, and I apologize again.
No, no worries. We're human. You're doing your best. Me too. Anybody else? Great. Well, we're going to go. We have another call to get to, but we do hope that all of you all will join us for the press conference on the 28th. We will be making some major announcements there. So we hope that y'all will be there and help to share our story. Thank y'all for being here. Thank y'all for being so attentive and so supportive of us and the thing that we're going through right now. It's been very difficult, but you all helping amplify our story in our hearts has been very, very amazing. And we're very grateful for all of y'all. So thank y'all for being here.
Thank you.
All right, joined once again by Van Turner. Van, I guess I just want to ask you, kind of, what's your perspective when you heard the news? What was kind of going through your mind?
You know, what automatically popped in my mind is what popped in a lot of folks' minds. You know, there are stories and stories of churches being burned down by the Ku Klux Klan and other organizations who don't value this type of history, and so that is what initially popped in my mind, and then we didn't know. And so there was the thought that maybe some person who was homeless got into the church and started a fire, and it got out of hand. That was another theory. And so what we see is that this person apparently went in and intentionally set the church on fire. And so that's just so alarming that a person of African descent would go in and destroy such a treasure to the African American community. And so it's quite alarming. I don't know if the person is mentally disturbed or we don't know what's going on, but I'm hopeful that he's apprehended and we get the real story. You know, why would you do something like this? You know, we want to know, and particularly so we can prevent this from happening in the future, you know? So we'll just have to see once the person is apprehended and we see more from the authorities.
Yeah, what is the message you would like the city, maybe the youth in the city, to take out of this?
You know, we can't forget about the past, and we have to treasure the past in order to move forward. So we can't throw away our elders. We can't throw away all those lessons that we learned from years ago, because we have to build upon those lessons. We have to continue that journey. And so what I want to tell the young people is that history matters. Your history matters. Our history matters. And so in order for us to have a better nation, and in order for us to do better, we must know what has occurred in the past, and then, you know, learn from those examples. What worked, what didn't work, what do we need to focus on now? And so hopefully the young people will take heed of this, and as we get older and move out the way, they will, you know, take over these positions with NAACP and city and county government and state and federal government, and they will understand the value of these treasures such as the Claiborne Temple, and they'll do everything that they can to protect these monuments and to protect these aspects of history so that we can continue to learn from everything, and we can continue to move forward as a unified nation.
All right. Well, thank you for that, Van. Appreciate your perspective, and we thank your time for being here, especially dealing with something like this.
Thank you very much.
All right. That's all we have for you here for ABC24 at midday on 24+. We thank you for watching, and we'll see you again next time.
Continue with us and watch free now on the 24 Plus app everywhere you stream.